Have you ever sat down and asked yourself, is it possible to beat Super Mario Sunshine without touching the ground? No? Well, that's good. Means you're not obsessed with the game. I, however, sat down the other day and wondered that very thing. I tried it, and was it fun? I can't really say. But I tried it, and you know, that's all that matters. Hold up. I'm gonna need to establish some more ground rules before we start. Ground rules. So, ground in this game is not very well defined. So we're gonna need to define that as we go. In general, Google tells me that the ground is the solid surface of the earth. That doesn't always apply in Mario Sunshine because a lot of the surfaces are man-made. So we're gonna have to use our own rules. And about touching the ground. So as some of you probably have thought of already, you touch the ground when entering every level and when exiting back to Delfino Plaza. That's unavoidable. So I'm not going to count those in my official times I touch the ground counter because there will be times I inevitably need to touch the ground. But those won't go on the counter. Other stuff that won't go on the counter is Shadow Mario shines and Piantissimo shines. It's necessary that you touch the ground to talk to them before getting the shine sprite. That's unavoidable. I'm not going to count those on the counter just so that's clear. All right, let's do this. So I start up the game, and right off the bat, we're on the ground. Not a good look, but I'm gonna move right past that. And we work through this cutscene. I'm gonna fast forward till the action starts. Yeah. So right off the bat, we got Peach telling Mario what to do, which is not a good look for Mario. I think he's kind of pussy whipped if you ask me, but that's besides the point. So looking around, there's not many options, but we can actually jump off Toadsworth to get in the water and jump dive across the island. The goal of this, as you'll see here, is to get on this ledge by using what we call a glitchy wall kick. We can get up here and slide along this ledge. You can't stand up because that would count as touching the ground, but right now we're not breaking any rules, so we're good. Jump onto this tree, and with a simple spin jump, we can enter Flood's cutscene. They touching the ground when you enter the cutscene, that doesn't count, just so you know. I'm omitting that, so far we're good. And after this cutscene ends, it's pretty simple. Now that we have Flood, all we gotta do is jump onto the crate and jump onto the top platform, and you can spray the polluted piranha from there. And after he's done, all we gotta do is spin jump, go into the shine, and we've collected our first shine sprite without touching the ground. We are one down, I think 42 to go, I'm not sure. I guess we'll know when we beat the game. And then we got this huge cutscene, but we can just skip it and go right to Delfino Plaza. Right away we save so that if I touch the ground and have to restart, I don't lose my progress. I did this in a previous recording and I hated myself. So I head onto the roof and another polluted piranha. I know Nintendo's extremely creative with bosses. Just spray him and I'm done. I'm not going to bother to give a top-down view of what counts as ground in Delfino Plaza because mostly it's pretty obvious. Buildings and stuff and trees are obviously on limits. The beach and the normal ground is off limits. It's pretty simple. No need to explain it for Delfino Plaza. We're not going to be here much anyway. And to start off, grab Shadow Mario. And Shadow Mario proves to be one of the harder parts of this game, surprisingly. You think that you could just stand on top of the building and spray him, but it's really not that easy. It's extremely tedious, and I hate every minute of getting Shadow Mario. And all you can do really is just spray him like for half a second every time and just wait until you finally get him. I end up finally getting him around here. Talk to him. This touching the ground here is completely needed, so it's not going on the counter. And we open up Bianco Hills just like that. So Bianco Hills, I think, is one of the easier levels in this game for sure. There's a lot of trees and buildings that I could climb on to make my life easier. Before we start though, I'm going to want to clarify what is ground in Bianco Hills. Thank you to user619 on DeviantArt for this picture. This was very helpful. Even though it's not a top-down, it's pretty close. So the bottom left is where I'm starting. Pretty much every green looking like area is ground. That's non-debatable. The area going up to the windmill is also ground. You can't stand there. Trees, buildings, everything white like that, that's perfectly fine. So now that we've established that, let's get started. So navigation in Bianco Hills is mainly done by going on trees and buildings like a normal person would. There's a semi-hard jump at the beginning here with a tree. It's not too tough, but it's enough to make it semi-precise. And heading over to the buildings, we do a water slide here to go right to the water, which is obviously not ground. And I need to lure a spider so that I can jump. Remember, this is ground right here. So I do a dive and ground pound to make it onto the windmill, which carries me all the way up to Petey Piranha. Pretty simple stuff. So right here was a little bit of a dilemma for me. I didn't know if I wanted to consider this area as ground when I was playing, so I tried to not move during this fight, but it's not possible to avoid walking on the ground here, because after you ground pound Petey Piranha, he'll just shoot you back onto the ground. So I tried here to avoid the ground, but in the end I just played it normally and got the shine. So areas like this do not count as ground, so nothing is added to the counter. Next up is Bianco Hills 3, which is the first secret area of the game. In order to enter this area without touching the ground, all I needed to do was jump off a spider and then jump off the tightrope. Pretty easy stuff. And in general, the secret levels are not hard because of a special definition I like to call nothing in here is ground. So just beat the secret areas normally, and I have not touched the ground because in general, the secret areas are really not ground at all. It's just all platforms. So none of that is ground. Next up is Bianco 4, but before we do Bianco 4, we're going to unlock this because in the speed run, this is faster, so I'm deciding to do the speedrun route in general, and once we unlock Rico Harbor, which we'll come back to later, we go back to Bianco 4. Bianco 4 is pretty normal because all the red coins are on buildings. If they were on the ground, it'd be a lot harder, but do this level normally, collect the shine, and we're good. Pretty easy levels so far. That will change very soon, and by very soon I mean right now. Bianco 5, I forgot that this area was ground, so I did the normal speedrun route and realized, oh, gotta exit area because that is ground, so I gotta find a workaround for it. Luckily the workaround's pretty easy. There's a bunch of tight ropes over here and you can jump onto this top level. This part, however, took a little bit of thinking. Do you see those points down there? We need to grab those and shoot them at Petey Piranha. And at first I was skeptical that I could do that, but then I noticed this fence. This fence allows you to stand on it, and that's all you need to shoot these guys. So I stood on the fence, shot the point, and I was good. Now the problem is getting back. And I tried to do a spin jump, it didn't quite work out. I had to try again. The solution I ended up coming up with is to jump on these, I think they're called swoop and stews. And I jumped on them enough, and I eventually made it over to the buildings over here where I was safe. And that was the easy part. The next part is kind of hard. After getting water, I ran back to Petey Piranha, and so at some angles he's kind of tough to get water into his mouth. Here I tried to get under the fence, and the fence is not cooperative, so I had to restart, which kind of killed me, but you know, I did it. So getting back here, I tried again to get on this place, but he ended up barfing up sludge before I could, and he just flew back up, so had to wait for him again. But this time, he opened his mouth for us. Okay, that didn't come out the way I wanted, but he opened his mouth for us, and we put water into it. And it's pretty easy actually once you get the hang of it. The second hit right here near the tight ropes, pretty simple stuff, and the third hit from the side, and that's the level. It's the first semi-difficult level in the game. We got past it, so I'm pretty happy with that. And next up would normally in the speedrun be Gelato Skip, but we're actually going to enter back into Bianco Hills just to keep it fresh in our mind. So I re-entered Bianco Hills, and entering Bianco 6 entering the Dirty Lake secret wasn't all that hard. I just bounced on some tight ropes, ended up finding a leaf, which is how you're supposed to do it. And with the spin jump up here, you know, it was pretty easy to enter the level without touching the ground. And since the secret is devoid of ground, I beat it normally, and I was Gucci. And the next level wasn't quite as easy. I said before that the Shadow Mario Shines were hard. They are. Shadow Mario Shines are very hard. This one is, I think, the easiest. Actually, other than Rico Harbor, that was pretty easy. But at the beginning, you can't really get much health off him. So I ended up having to go on the buildings over here. Luckily, this guy's pretty cooperative. He doesn't do anything you wouldn't expect, so I got some decent health off him here. And just continued to get health off him. Nothing much else you can do. And I ended up finally getting a shine. After spraying him like, I don't know, 5 minutes. These shines aren't very fun, but I did get them eventually, which is all that matters. So as of now, I've officially completed first and easiest level of the game. So far, I'm having fun. This is great. And that fun is about to be ruined. Gelato Beach only consists of 2 levels when you do a skip known as Gelato Skip, which I don't know if you know what it does, but it skips gelato. That's what it does. At first, I wasn't even sure if this was possible without touching the ground. It ends up being that you can do this, so I'm really glad I didn't have to do the whole Gelato Beach. But still, this level is hard. I got really lucky while doing this. I guess I should explain what Gelato Skip is. So I get a coconut from this tree and end up taking it over to the Watermelon Festival area and collect the Gelato 8 shine in Gelato 1. And collecting the Gelato Beach 8 shine skips all the levels. It unlocks all the shines, so I can actually beat Gelato 7. And I didn't really have a plan on how I was going to get that coconut over to the bridge without touching the ground. I kind of just was spraying it and seeing what happened. And I got really lucky here. I'm not exactly sure how I did this, but I sprayed it close enough to the bridge, bounced off a, whatever these guys are called, I don't know, Cataquack, I think, yeah, Cataquack. And I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to grab it from the bridge, so I just hovered around it, and I think I got really lucky because the coconut was close enough for me to grab, so I don't know how I did that, but I did it. So all I need to do from here is drop the coconut, run into it, go between the roof and not the roof, and I got the Gelato 8 shine, so pretty easy right there. I got lucky, but you know, luck is better than skill in the end. I just want to take a second to apologize if my voice is really annoying and nasally. I was eating some Trader Joe's chocolate covered almonds. Please sponsor me. And when I was eating one, I choked. And when I was trying to spit it back up. Some went in my nose, lodged itself in my nose. I went to the doctors. They said they couldn't get it out without doing surgery. So I said, fuck that, I'm fine. I'm not in dire need of care, so it's just lodged somewhere up here, which is really affecting like my voice. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but hopefully I just sneeze it out one day. I think another reason could be that my voice is just naturally nasally and I made that story up, and I don't know. You decide. Gelato 7. Shouldn't be too bad. It's just another Shadow Mario Shine. And after this, we can go right to Pianta Village. Pretty nice. Well, this level actually proved to be the hardest level in the game. Believe it or not, this level's awful. At first, I didn't think it would be because there's a ton of trees I can go around. You know, Shadow Mario shouldn't be too bad, but as I slowly began to realize, this Shadow Mario has a unique trait in that he doesn't wait for you to come near him. In the Bianco Hills Shadow Mario, he wouldn't go to new places until you were near him, which gave you time to catch up to him and spray him, right? Well, this Shadow Mario does not give a shit. He just goes wherever he wants, whenever he wants, and if you can't catch up to him, then fuck you. And that alone makes this Shadow Mario absolutely insane. It shouldn't be that hard, but it is. I spent like hours trying to find out where he was. Maybe not hours, but definitely minutes. And I just could not catch up to him. He just goes wherever he wants. And you just cannot catch up. And it's so frustrating. Do not attempt this. Another thing I realized is that my water was getting pretty low. But there's no good way to get more water other than to get this hover nozzle box, because you can't make it to the lake. And this hover nozzle box, sadly, is not easy to get either, because the hover nozzle can't be picked up unless you're on the ground. But I found a pretty creative way to get more water, as you saw right there. But it's really hard, and I only have one try, so I'm just gonna try not to run out of water in the future. And I kept trying. It's really hard to spray him consistently. You just need to grind it out, and that's something that I really didn't have the patience for. But I kept trying and failing mostly at getting him. There's no really discernible strategy that I could come up with. I just tried to follow him and spray him whenever he was available. And the next attempt didn't go so well. I kept trying, but this level is just so awful. These things aren't the best vantage point to spray from, and if you go down to the trees, he'll go back up to the next level in like a second. This is just by far the hardest level I had to do that was actually possible. There were a few times where I could spray him like fairly consistently, but in the end, like, I kept having to give up. Here, I actually got a pretty nice spray on him, but I couldn't replicate this. If I could have replicated this, I would have been able to get him pretty easily. The main problem here was time and money. Well, not money, water. Because you can run out of water really easily. And in the end, I didn't want to tackle this right now. I really want to go to Pianta Village, so that's what I did. I just gave up. I'm gonna go back to it eventually, maybe. I don't know. I just need to be in a better space. And I touched the ground right there, so I'm gonna reset to get myself a better vantage point. At first, I wasn't sure if I could get up to Pianta Village right now without the rocket nozzle and without touching the ground, but I remember this old trick that I used to do to climb up this tower. You can wall jump between the two pillars here, and it took me a few tries, but actually, I ended up getting there without touching the ground and without using the rocket nozzle. And all you have to do is get up to this shine gate. It's pretty easy, and then do a spin jump, Y turn, wall jump to get up here and into the pipe. So the Pianta entry isn't that hard. We'll go back to that Shadow Mario later. I really don't feel like doing it now, so let's do the Chomplets. Hopefully we can do something to take our mind off that epic failure. But first, let's talk about what's actually ground in Pianta Village. The green stuff and the tan paths, that's all ground. The elevated green surfaces are ground. The artificial buildings that are brown are not ground. All right, we're good. Let's go. Unfortunately for me, this level is not possible. I hate saying that out loud, but I tried everything, and you just cannot grab these guys and throw them into the water without touching the ground. So I just beat this level normally. So this is unfortunately the first level that will have to go in the unbeatable without touching the ground level column. So that'll be a running tally. Hopefully not too many more of these levels will be like that, but unfortunately Pianta 1 is not possible. Pianta 2, however, is actually a very fun level. I really enjoyed doing this. It was a nice challenge. Piantissimo, again, this doesn't count as a ground touch talking to him, but it is actually possible to beat Piantissimo without touching the ground. It took me a few tries, and I will spare you all those tries, but it was actually a pretty fun challenge. At first I didn't know what to do because there's no real way to advance here, so I tried a spin jump, and I actually came fairly close to beating him first try, but I ended up barely losing. The big advantage you get over him is that you can dive up that tree, but in the end I wasn't fast enough. And after enough tries, this is the method that I came up with. It's a pretty cool method. So to start, I hover onto the fence, grab it, spin jump off it, and a water slide from that building, and do a momentum spin jump off of this tree, which involves diving, rolling out, and spin jumping off the slope. And beat Piantissimo pretty easily, and get the shine. So next up is Pianta 3. And this level is also fun. I enjoyed this level. Right away, it might not be apparent how to get to the middle platform, but thankfully, there's a tree to the left that allows you to spin jump off it onto the big platform with the guy you need to clean. So right away, we grab onto this fence and jump straight from it to the tree. Climb up this tree, do a pretty easy spin jump dive near the M. Almost bonked off the ledge, but we didn't, so we're good. Climb onto this platform, clean them off. Pretty simple stuff. And next up, we have, unfortunately, another level that I could not figure out how to complete without touching the ground. I just hate these levels, man. Like, you have to grab... There's just no way to complete this without touching the ground continuously. I'll give exceptions to levels where you can touch the ground once or twice and beat it, but these levels you need to stay on the ground and like continuously, and it's not worth trying to minimize ground touches or anything, so I just beat it normally. We'll add that to the levels that are impossible column, which is a very depressing column, but it is necessary. Next up is the Secret of the Village Underside. This level is, again, pretty easy. We can do a trick called Yoshi Skip to skip having to get Yoshi, which normally would prevent you from beating this level at this time, but Yoshi Skip allows us to do this level now, and the secret is pretty normal, as none of this is ground, so Pianta 5, pretty much a throwaway level. I like those. We need more of those. Pianta Village is hell. Get me out of here. Pianta 6 is actually a pretty fun level as well. Normally you just stand on the ground next to these guys and clean them up, but you can clean them up just as easily, even though it's a lot slower from higher vantage points like a tree or a platform. There's a lot of lag in this level as well. I should mention that. You can see right here, there's way too much lag. Pretty annoying, but cleaning these guys off isn't too much of a hassle. The thing that I do need to worry about, though, is the time limit, because this does take a lot of time, and I'm running out of that. Jumping out of this pool into the next area is not easy. We can clean off this Pianta pretty easily, but getting to the next area is not so easy. What I did was get onto these crates and did a spin jump onto this mushroom over here, and that pretty much solved the problem, but I still am running out of time, and I go as fast as I can, and I barely beat the level. 3:26 left. That was close, way too close. Whatever, we did it. I still have one more roadblock though. This guy, you need to talk to him before you get the shine, and as far as I could tell, I can't talk to him from the bridge, so I had to use one ground touch to talk to him. I'm putting this on the list of ground touches because there might technically be a way to avoid it, but unfortunately I couldn't. So last up is Pianta 7, and it was just another boring Shadow Mario level. It was easy but boring, so yeah, just beat it.